You know how packing for a cruise feels productive, but half the stuff you bring ends up living its entire life inside a suitcase under your bed? Yep, this video is about those items, because today I'm sharing 7 things I regretted bringing on a cruise, not because they were bad ideas in theory, but because real cruise life made them pointless, annoying, or simply just not worth the hassle. And before the comments start, this isn't a packing list. This is a packing confession. Some of these items sounded brilliant at home, and then immediately betrayed me on board. So let's start off with one of my many poor choices of purchasing before a cruise, and that was a drone. Because I bought a drone on a cruise thinking, I'm going to get all these great cinematic shots, it's going to be content gold. Instead, it became rules, stress, and regret in a hard plastic case. The first problem, there are rules everywhere. You really can't fly them almost anywhere. You can't fly them on the ship. In most ports, they're prohibited. It's prohibited to fly them near ships, near people, near buildings, near beaches, near basically anything interesting. The second problem is time. Flying the drone was one thing. Editing the footage later, that's an entire side project. You don't just drop drone footage into a vlog, you have to babysit it, color correct it, stabilize it, and then you wonder why you just didn't use your phone in the first place. And then there's finally just storage. I mean, it takes up a lot of space, batteries take up space, chargers take up space. For something I used like once, it demanded a lot from me, but really the rules here about where you can and can't fly it, like ain't nobody got time for that. I would just want to enjoy my cruise and not worry about that. So unless like you're really ardent about getting those shots, more power to you, I'm going to leave mine at home. Number 2 is any reading material. Books, comic books, magazines. Every cruise, I pack them thinking, this will be the trip where I finally relax. Spoiler alert, it never actually happens. Cruise days are full of walking, eating, exploring, eating some more, talking, watching shows, wandering into places for just a minute. And by the time I sit down, I'm either people watching, on my phone, or quite frankly, taking a nap. So those books really never open. In fact, there were a couple of cruises where I was carrying the same book in my bag for probably like 4 or 5 cruises, and then I just realized this is pointless, it's just taking up space. They just sat there, silently judging me every time I repacked the suitcase. So, as I think you'll see from this list, a lot of these things are Matt things, not what other people do things, right? Because a lot of people do read and enjoy reading on a cruise. I'm just not one of those people. I just never find the time for it because I'm just easily distracted by all the amazing activities on there. And quite frankly, I just feel like I get drawn into that as a more enjoyable part of my cruise experience. Number 3, this one really hurts, my own pillow. So I brought my own pillow once, and honestly, it was fantastic. It's the perfect height, perfect firmness, slept great, and then I left it behind. Somewhere between packing and disembarking in the cruise terminal chaos, my pillow stayed on vacation, and I never got it back. Now here's the thing, bringing your own pillow can be great. Of course, it takes up a lot of space, it's bulky and easy to forget. So, if you can drive to your cruise port, which is actually the time I did bring it, it might work out better because you have to worry about, checking in for your luggage or anything like that. But the problem is, while the cruise ship pillows and hotel pillows are pretty terrible, and they're never going to be nearly as good as your own pillow, I think the only thing worse than that is actually losing your own pillow. When you come home, you get a better appreciation for it. And you may be less forgetful than I am, but I did it once, and I never even considered doing it again. Number 4, I'm going to be real with all of you guys, cruise nerd time. I brought a gaming laptop on a solo cruise in Europe once. In my head, I thought to myself, this is actually a great idea. I'm going solo. I'll have a lot of downtime on sea days. I'll game in the evenings. I'll relax. That way I'm not spending so much time in the casino, at the bar. I don't know anyone on board. This seems like a reasonable thing to do. So here's the reality. Number 1, this means I'm bringing a second laptop because I always bring my work laptop with me. The heft and weight of it was incredible. And the reality was I was much busier than I ever imagined. I mean, there are shore excursions in Europe all day. You're exploring ports. There are shows at night. And I was in bed a lot of times by like 10 o'clock. I mean, I just didn't really have time for that. But when I did sit down, also another reality check, cruise ship chairs are not gaming chairs. I mean, if you tried actually gaming in one of those small desk chairs hunched over, it's just really not enjoyable. Not to mention, there's Wi-Fi latency. Actually, that killed it pretty quickly when I realized that while the Starlink internet is pretty good, the latency issues make online gaming almost useless. And it just kind of killed it almost immediately. But never mind the fact that I was lugging this thing all the way across the Atlantic and through airports, and it just really wasn't worth all the heft and effort to bring it there because it was heavy, unnecessary, and ultimately it never got used. So if you're thinking of bringing one, ask yourself how often you'll actually game on vacation. If you are going to game on vacation, though, I really would lean towards like a handheld console rather than bringing an actual, laptop or even an Xbox or PlayStation. I mean, that I've never done that, but the effort not only to bring it and the heft with it, and then of course connect it to the TV, find a plug for it, come up with a universal adapter, change the input. Ain't nobody got time for that. I mean, really, ask yourself ultimately how often you'll actually game on vacation. Number 5 are too many shoes, and I don't know who needs to hear this, but you don't need 4 pairs of shoes on a cruise, and that's just for guys I'm talking about. I mean, I used to bring flip-flops, sneakers, casual evening shoes, formal night shoes. And guess what? I wore sneakers and flip-flops, and that's it. I mean, really, the truth is I can combine the casual shoe with the formal night shoe, right? And I don't need to be wearing like I'm going to a wedding. So wearing just a nice shoe out for the evening works for all things. Again, maybe a guy thing. I'm sure there's a lot of ladies right now who are yelling at their phones. But you probably don't need nearly as many shoes as you think you might need. Number 1, cruises are not nearly as formal as they sound. Number 2, a lot of shoes can be universal and working with a lot of different outfits, whether it's a more dress-up outfit or a more casual one. And, in a lot of cases, I just find myself wearing the same, 2 pairs of shoes. Certainly, flip-flops when you're at the beach, that's a must, and those are easy to pack anyway. And then some sort of a shoe that you can wear around the ship and even to dinner. And similar to the laptop and other things I've mentioned here, I mean, shoes take up a lot of space and they're heavy. And from a packing standpoint, especially if you're limited in how much space you have because you're flying, I mean, they really take up a lot of area. So nowadays, I really bring 2, maybe 3 pairs. I'll bring flip-flops, but those are easy to pack. You can stuff them almost anywhere. I'll bring a pair of sneakers, and I'll wear a pair of shoes for out to dinner. And that's it, ultimately. That leads me to number 6, and that's the whiteboard I tried recently. And in theory, this is a really cool idea because you can leave fun messages, coordinate plans ahead of neighbors. But in reality, all I got was random doodles, inside jokes, about 6, 7, and then somebody actually stole the pen off of it on the last night of the cruise. By the end of the cruise, when I would come back to my room, I would actually be really worried about what was going to be there waiting for me rather than I hope somebody left me a message on it. So if you do bring one, I actually think it's a good idea to leave it inside the cabin, on the other side of the door, because outside the door, it turns into a public restroom wall of dry erase markers. It's a fun idea, but it just wasn't for me. And then we have the over-the-door shoe organizer, which is one of the all-time packing hacks out there. It doesn't work, though. I mean, it got caught in the bathroom door every time I closed it. The pockets were tiny, stuff fell out, and it constantly shifted. So unless you're cruising with kids who need to organize things like sunscreen, toys, and accessories, I think it's really more hassle than help. I mean, you can get them at a dollar store, so it's not like you're out that much on it, but I found it wasn't nearly as useful as I expected it to, and it just got in the way more than anything. Now, perhaps if you invested in a higher quality over-the-door shoe organizer than the one from the dollar store, perhaps that one has a lot more space for it. But also, cruise ship cabins have gotten a lot better in the last number of years. If you're on a cruise ship that came out in the last, 10 years, I think there's plenty of storage space. This is one of those cruise tips that's been around for decades, because back in the day, cruise ship cabins didn't have a lot of storage space, and I think this is one of those that just not necessary. And to round out my list, I have a GoPro, one of another many purchases that I regretted almost instantly. I was an early adapter, and I mean, granted, this goes back to GoPro 4 when I got it, because it felt revolutionary at the time, but honestly, it's awkward to record with, easy to miss moments, and editing is a huge pain. Phones just do it way better now. Unless you're doing something truly amazing, like snorkeling, surfing, something else that is an action sport in which the GoPro I think is totally designed for, I just find it's really not worth it at all. So unless you're doing something like that, it's probably not only a waste of money, unless you're using it on land, but certainly not worth the time, effort, and space required to bring down a cruise ship. And lastly, there's always just too many clothes. I mean, over the course of all the cruises I've ever taken, I'm definitely packed things that I just never used, inevitably, because I'm an overpacker. And actually, overpacking isn't a mistake inherently, in my opinion, when you're going on a cruise. However, I have definitely packed outfits that I never actually wore because I anticipated every possible scenario, temperature, and vibe. And in the end, I didn't use all of them. I mean, laundry exists. Re-wearing clothes is fairly normal. Heck, when you stay in a star-class cabin, free laundry is offered there. And when you get to Diamond Plus on cruises 5 nights or longer, you get a free bag of laundry to do on board. But really, I think you'll end up using far less clothing than you imagine. I mean, in my experience, half my clothes never leave the suitcase. So utilizing laundry is a really good strategy, and ultimately, maybe even relying on reusing clothes works quite well. Packing for your cruise isn't about bringing everything you might need, it's about bringing what you'll actually use. Every item you don't bring saves space, time, and saves stress. Obviously, you don't want to underpack and forget things. There have been cruises where I've forgotten all my pants. That happened before. But at the same time, I think there's a happy medium between just bringing things that you just ultimately find are useless and regret bringing on there. Let me know in the comments below other things that you brought on a cruise that you regretted almost instantly and thinking back on it was just a mistake in planning. While you're down below our video, hit the like button and be sure to subscribe to our channel and turn on notifications. That's a little bell icon, so that way YouTube lets you know of a brand new video to share. This has been Matt from RoyalCaribbeanBlog.com, and we'll talk again real soon.